Hello everybody, it's Casey here, back for a new reaction. So if you've been following my latest updates on my channel, then by now you probably know that a long time ago I had watched a series of videos by the mysterious Mr. Enter and his Admirable Animation series where he talked about different original animations from around the internet. So at long last, I have been systematically going through his recommendations list and doing reactions to these various short films because after doing so many reactions to already pre-existing media, I thought it would be interesting to take a little break from that for a while and feature completely original animated films to give these creators more attention. So continuing down the line here, the next animation we have up on our list is this short film. It says it's about 3.5 minutes long. It's called There's a Man in the Woods. And unfortunately, I can't really find too much information on it. The video that I'm using, which I will link in the description box below so that you can watch this for yourself without my commentary over it if you wish, and also to give the creators the view. But all I know is that this video was uploaded over 9 years ago, and apparently I can't really find any info on like who made this or anything. I'm sure all their information will be in the end credits of the video. But one thing that I did notice while looking this up is that of all the animations that I've reacted to so far, these short films I mean, this is the first one that I have found like a truckload of other reaction videos to it. So apparently of the ones that I've done so far, this one continues to be a very popular animation for reasons that I'm probably about to find out here. So without further ado, let's just get right into it. So let me get myself synced up here. And from what little I could see, and from what little that the mysterious Mr. Enter talked about in his video long ago, this is also the first one of my reactions that is probably going to be a little bit darker than usual. What I'm exactly getting into here, I don't know because I only saw little bits of the beginning of it, but I can already tell this is probably going to be a more like spooky one. So I'm not sure how like dark this is going to get. Afterwards in editing I can always put up a warning on it beforehand if I feel it necessary, but nevertheless, you've been warned on this one. This might be a little bit darker than what we're used to on this channel. So without further ado, let's get started. This is There's a Man in the Woods. Ready? 3, 2, 1, play. Oh, this animation style is different.
There's a man in the woods. What a spectacle.
Oh, I can already tell this is going to be dark.
The school was still respectable. My students used to skip down the hill to the honeysuckle, pluck a couple, and collect their nectar till they picked their fill.
Kids did that?
Except one obnoxious kid, Sid.
Sid?
He just watched them eat the flowers while he seethed and scowled because he couldn't bear to share his sweet treats throughout our recess hour.
I see someone watch Toy Story.
There's a man in the woods. That's how the rumors began.
Uh-oh.
Of course, Sid had spotted him first. The poor kids. He got him immersed in his spiel about a serial killer whose gun barrel glint hints at peril. A visit to the nurse, or worse, a hearse, waiting just beyond the dale. The children saw him everywhere. Look, over there. That man had Batman ears. We swear. And crazy yellow eyes. We saw something rusty. His shotgun? It must be. I saw a lady's severed thigh. Trust me, every word I heard was absurd. Yet each day Sid would stray down way past the playground. Who else was brave enough to save us from the killer's next plot? The rest of the lot would stop back at the blacktop, sure that any closer they were bound to be found deep in the woods, left to rot.
Okay, my school had woods next to it, but they at least had a fence around it.
More rumors doomed my attempts to prove the school was secure. Their fear was undeterred, and when the buses drove them all home, the parents finally heard. Everything just blew up. I received a wall of emails and calls full of shrieks, wails, and all from terrified families who'd heard word of the murderer and didn't like my lack of action at all. What was I supposed to do? Comb the whole forest? Yeah, right. Would you? That means I didn't care? That's not fair. The stories that were you weren't true. Of course I would feel regret had there been a real threat and I ignored it, and some poor kid got kidnapped while the kids were napping. But you couldn't admit that your good little kid would formulate a fib, so you ignored what I said. Your little angels could never cook up such incredible creations. An overactive imagination maybe, but my kid could never lie. How dare
this
I?
is too
Accuse
real.
a child of being dishonest? Just monstrous. The parents were displeased, and when the PTA took action, they dismissed me from the classroom. Like they knew what was best for their kids. Do you know how difficult it is to get a job when a bitter mom slanders your rep with child neglect from the outset? Now who's in control of your classes? Single file lines? Single file lines. Little vile swine,
God.
a killer by the pines. Really? Are you blind? Will you find your spines? Sid, a child decides to fill our minds with lies, and the next thing you see is people treating me like I'm committing crimes. I was in my prime. Those kids were lucky to have me. Do you see what you did? But I can play along. I can be good. Do you hear that, Sid? There's a man in the woods.
Oh god, that was so, like, not gory or anything, but man, that was disturbing. Okay. Okay, yeah, I think I'm gonna have to put a warning before this. Oh, man. Oh, okay, so yeah, of all the ones that I've reacted to so far, that definitely took, like, a turn that I was, like, kinda sorta expecting, but, like, not to that level. But, oh man. Okay, first off. Okay, where do we even start here? Alright, first off, animation. Amazing. The voice work. Incredible. Whoever this actor was who did the voice of the teacher here was just, like, beyond incredible. The way that his voice started off so calm, and then how he gradually just got more and more crazy as it went on, and so angry, like, hats off to whoever did the voice work in this. The music, oh man, the music just, I'm just gonna be like blabbering at that point, but just the animation, the music, the voice work, the rhyming of it, the way that the rhyming, the timing on it was just, like, the rhythm of the rhyme was just, like, spot on. But now, let's talk about the story here, because there is so much that is said in just 3 minutes here. How unbelievably true to life this is. Like, it's the boy who cried wolf scenario of, like, the kid who starts a rumor, and then how that rumor can easily just grow and spread and then be blown out of proportion. And then the fact that I think especially a lot of little kids, this is why it is so important for parents to teach their kids about the dangers of what you do when not only when you lie, but when you spread rumors like this. The fact that they're not even really thinking of just how impactful and how hurtful their little fibs could actually be, and how it could spiral out of control and make everybody afraid of something that isn't really there. Like, it's one thing to kind of tell a bit of a practical joke, but not when it leads to this, when actual people are losing their jobs because now the parents think that there's something actually out there. And not only that, but of course I'm not going to get into it too much here, because this definitely, like, hit home for me as somebody who was, like, bullied constantly in school and had to deal with teachers and staff who just pretty much did nothing about it. The fact that you then had to deal with these kids who have parents who either are pretty much aware of what their kid's actually doing but just don't want to admit it, or like they're just like so like off in their own world and are so clueless that they immediately think, oh, my kid could never lie, like my kid's an angel or whatever. I'm sure everybody out there, whoever's watching this, I'm sure you've come across somebody like that in your life. And this animation just demonstrates that perfectly. And it does so in a way that just those visuals of just how those rumors were spreading, and how the kids started to see things that weren't really there, and how imaginative kids can be. And I think it's also a lesson for parents and teachers and stuff too, to realize that you really do have to be careful of what you're telling your kids and how you tell it and how you explain it, because a lot of kids, especially little kids, can be so imaginative and so in their own world that they can take things so literally that you end up getting stuff like this happening. Kind of weird though that this school, I mean, maybe I'm just nitpicking at this point, but so weird that this school, like, because they're near to the woods, that they don't really have a fence around like the playground or anything. I remember back in my school, there was I know my school, my elementary school anyway, was near to a bunch of, like, a neighborhood and stuff, but there was, like, a pretty big thicket of woods over by our field that they did put up, just like a generic chain link fence to kind of block it off so that none of the kids ran into the woods. So I don't know, just kind of weird that, like, why don't they have just some kind of barrier or anything just to make sure that the kids don't, like, climb over it or anything? I don't know. Also kind of interesting how they had kids picking flowers or nectar. Anybody out there watching this, is this something that you did as a kid? Because I never heard of this at all. I don't know if this is more of like a country kind of thing or whatever. Like, I'm more grew up in like the suburbs and the city and stuff, so I'm guessing places are different, but I never really did that as a kid, of like actually like eating flowers and stuff. Although that did bring back a childhood memory of mine. When I was in grade school, we had our playground and we had a football field with a track, and next to the track there was this big sand pit that in gym class they used for their like long jumps. But I remember when I was a little kid, whenever we got recess, if we weren't playing on the playground, a lot of us would go down to the field to like just play games or run around and stuff. And a lot of us would go down to that jumping pit, the sand pit, and we would dig it up, and we were pretending that we were archaeologists and we were digging for dinosaur bones in that sand pit. When they talked about the flowers, for some reason that triggered that memory of me like digging for dinosaur bones on the playground. So, but that's another thing about it, is that even like it just brought back memories of me on the playground. Even for as dark as it got there at the end, I immediately thought of like, oh, I remember kind of doing that stuff. But yeah, man, this definitely, like, I am almost thinking that the last one that I did, when I reacted to the Oxygen short film, and how I said about how that film could definitely be used like in classrooms and whatnot, this is another one that I think should probably be shown in schools more. Not just to kids, although definitely not little kids with, like, you know, how dark it got and the drug references and stuff at the end. I'd probably wait till like 6th or 7th grade to show a kid this. But this is definitely also probably a good teaching tool even for adults too. This is probably something that should be shown at, like, whatever you want to call, like PTA meetings, or when the teachers have their like in-service days where they have their meetings about I mean, anybody out there watching this, if you're a teacher or you know somebody who is in teaching at all, I'm sure you're going to know this way better than me. But anytime the teachers have a meeting about like what's going on in schools and stuff, this definitely is something that should be shown to show adults like, hey, look, this is something you're going to encounter where you're going to have kids like spreading rumors and stuff, and don't immediately think that what the kids are saying are true, or that, you know, here's something to prepare you for what the parents' reactions are possibly going to be, and how can we, like, you know, combat this? How can we teach kids that what they say matters, and what their actions and what rumors they spread matter, and how bad it could possibly get, and how it actually like does have real world effects on people, and how this one man's life was totally ruined, and how he went off the deep end and ironically became the actual real man in the woods that this kid made up. Also, side note, what is it with like bad kids being called Sid? First Toy Story, now this. But yeah, that's it. That was There's a Man in the Woods. Very effective and powerful animation here that we definitely need to see more of. Hats off to the entire team that put this together, even like over a decade later. From what other reactions that I've noticed in my YouTube list here, now I'm definitely going to have to go and see other people's reactions to this and see what they think of this. But from what I've seen in my cursory glance here as I was looking for the video, this definitely is one of the more popular ones, and has become like a very impactful animation to like a bunch of other people here, so it definitely did its job. But yeah, that's about wraps it up. And if there's any other animations out there, or just media in general that you would like me to react to, then feel free to leave a comment. And until next time, thanks for watching, thanks for listening, and bye-bye.